Hello, welcome to Board Deck and Dice. Today I'm looking at an early prototype for a Kickstarter game coming to Kickstarter around August. This is the Island of El Dorado. Now, it become very obvious that most of the components are prototype. The artwork on the tiles has come out too dark, and the designer is aware of this. Some of the dice are rather homemade, but again, this is just a prototype to get an idea of the game. Island of El Dorado is a mix of three genres: tile laying, fighting battles, and resource management. And it's very light on all three of those elements, but let's see if that adds up to more than the sum of its parts. In the Island of El Dorado, each player, 2 to 4 players, will take one of the people in the game there, and they all have different powers. And in the final version, this is going to be double-sided, so there'll be 8 players, 8 powers. And they give you certain things, like the Gatherer gives you 1 food, the Adventurer lets you move 1 more space, this gives you 1 more maximum villager, so you can build or create more villagers, and the Pedro here gives you 1 plus strength. So in this game I've got green and white, so those will be given to the players. And the other information they have is how a go works and the cost of everything. I'll just put those to one side. Each colour also gets an Explorer, which is the big tile, 3 offerings, 4 villagers, or 5 in the case of the player had the power. It gives you more villagers, a fort, and 2 farmhouses. The offerings cannot be attacked once they're on the board. They cannot be changed, cannot be moved. The farmhouses do not, if you enter a square with a farmhouse, you do not have to attack it, whereas the fort, the villagers, and the explorer, you do have to attack if you enter that space. So that's just to bear in mind. The object of the game is to get your 3 offerings out on the main board and to have control of the other shrine in the cave. So that's what we're trying to do, have control of all 4 shrines. The shrine in the cave can change hands, and in most games I've played so far, people have not gone for that until they've got these 3 offerings out on the other shrines. To start the game, you will turn over a tile and start all your explorers on that tile. This one is a wood one, like I say, the art is very dark. After your initial 2 tile placements, you will then have to place a tile next to 2 others. It must be touching 2 others. On your go, let's say we're white here, you will roll 2 dice, and then you will decide which one is for movement and which one is for resources. Whichever one you choose for resources, you will take resources up to that number from every square where you have a explorer or a farmhouse with a villager. So in this case, right at the start of the game, I will be able to take only wood. Now if I look at the costs here, wood does not get me anything on its own. So I'm going to say I'm going to take 2 wood, so I grab those, and I'm going to move 3 spaces. Now, if there's tiles out, you move on those, and each one of those is a space. Because there's not, I'm going to have to explore, so I take the next tile, and that is 1 move. Revealing and moving onto it is 1 move. Now remember, from now on, tiles must be placed where there is 2 to connect to. So that's 1 move. So I'll spin the dice down to show I've taken 1 of my moves. I'm going to explore again, and gold has come out again. So spin down again, and explore again over here just in case it's a shrine, and then I've got food out. So now I'm thinking this might be a good place for a farm, because then I can place my villagers out, and every go when it comes to the gather phase I can take resources of gold and food. There's nothing else I can do on that stage. I'm allowed to trade at any time, I'm allowed to buy at any time during this explore phase, but no one else has got any resources, so there's nothing else for me to do there. So then it'll turn over to the other players' go. I moved the wrong thing, didn't I? And they'll do the same, roll 2 dice, so they can take 5 or 4, so they're going to take 4 of the wood, but they also get a food, because that's their power. So they could, if they have a building out, they could get a villager. And then they decide to explore with 5, and they go here. Now this is a sea tile. Sea tiles cannot be entered onto. They create a blocking terrain, and so that will cost 1 of my movements, but I still have to go on. Then I get gold as well, and then a garden, which is great because that provides one of every resource. So I've moved here. I may as well get the rest of them out there, and there and there. So let's say it's late on in the game and we've built some things. White buildings must always be built on the corner. Farmhouses can be built when there's not yet discovered spaces. So let's say White's built that there. He's got some villagers out. Green has built this one here and he's got his villager there, so he can get whatever he wants. You can also pay gold to move your villagers or armies, so they've moved that there. And Green has also got a fort out here. So let's talk about how these things interfere with the game. White, remember, has +1 attack. Let's say in his next go, White moves in here. Now this will initiate a battle, but before that, both players are allowed to move their armies. So White moves in here to give himself some bolstering power, and he would take 1 dice per power. So with a standard explorer, it would only be 1, but because we're playing Pedro, he gets 4 dice. At the minute, these two will only get 2, but they could move their army up there if they had the gold to do so. So we roll, and there's 4 there, and only 2 there. So the greens would come off, these guys would win, happy days. However, if it had been in this tile, then the greens would get the supporting fort value of +4. So then the greens would be rolling 6, and I would still only be rolling 5. Should you ever get a offering on a shrine, which I'll try and find. So we'll say there's a shrine there and we got offering on it, that gives you +1 to your strength of your explorer. So you can get quite a lot of extra strength by getting your shrines out. Ultimately, you're trying to find the cave entrance. When you find that, you put the cave tile out and you start a separate thing over here. The shrine in the cave is a bit different. As soon as you turn it over, you take possession of it, and it gives you 2+ power in your battles. But there's also some beasties in the cave that you will have to fight as well. If your explorer ever loses in a battle, they give all their resources over to the person who beat them, and they get placed adjacent to one of their offerings. If they haven't made an offering, they get placed anywhere on the board. Seems like quite a harsh punishment, but remember, you don't ever have to attack with your explorer. You could just move an army of your villagers around and attack with them all the time, and when they go off the board, you can just respawn them as long as you've got enough food. The game ends when someone has all of their offerings out on shrines and controls the last shrine, which is within the cave. There's a cave tiger, and there's giants in there. So this last offering you simply take when you turn it over. And that is a very brief, very quick rundown of the Island of El Dorado. Now, on this channel, I don't do an awful lot of Kickstarter games, and the ones I do tend to say yes to are the ones that I think look good and fit my style. Having said that, what attracted me to this was the look over the gameplay, and actually the gameplay worried me. The tile laying is okay, I know I enjoy tile laying, that seems fairly good. The battle system with all these dice, I thought, oh, I'm not sure how that's going to work. There isn't any mitigation in the game as it stands currently. I think one of the other players, one of the other characters has dice mitigation as a power. And the resource management just seemed simple with 3 resources, and the rules for trading were quite loose. However, because of those kind of lightweight elements of those 3 core mechanics, the game is very immediate. All people have to get used to is the tile art, and they can go. They know moving is simple, it's almost roll to move, but there is that extra layer of decision, which is actually brilliant at times because you need certain resources to buy your offering, yet if you don't get out of there, you might lose all your resources to an attacker. So this little bit of decision is excellent. The battling works well. It seemed simplistic, but there was a real thing about, oh, shall I move my army? Shall I battle them with my explorer? Or is it worth just getting a group of villagers to kind of troop around the island, tearing everything down in their wake? And there were times when, with the farmhouses, the fact that you don't have to attack farmhouses is really interesting, because if someone builds their farmhouses early and they're in a space that's away from all the action, just leave it there. Don't destroy it so they get a chance to build it in a better place. Just leave it there. So there's a lot more strategy that comes into these light elements, light mechanics coming together and making for a game that is much deeper than it originally appears. If I had a few criticisms, it would be that generally I find the art, though the artwork's too dark, lots of playtests I've done with it, the people ask for icons on the tiles, because some of them, despite the artwork being dark, we still couldn't work out really what they were representing without the key on the back, or the fact that it must be that by process of elimination. So whether some basic iconography would help, I'm not sure. That's for the creator to decide. Also, the artwork on the resources doesn't really match the flavour of the tiles, so there's a little bit of a jar there with the artwork as well. However, for a prototype that I've played at this early stage, this is one of the best ones I've played. It's certainly probably in my top 5. The game is quick. The mechanics are easy yet interesting, and you have plenty of choices, even though you could accuse it of being roll to move. When you do have your explorer lose a battle, you can very quickly get back into the game because of this, because of the movement, because you can raise your villagers and move them around and cause havoc and stop people's plans. Once this cave entrance comes out, there's going to be a fight to kind of get your fort as near as possible to it to stop people getting in easily. You can even take your villagers into the cave and bolster you against the animals in the cave. No one that I've played with yet has gone for the cave as an initial strategy to get that +2 boost. I guess it seems too risky with the fact that other people could take the shrine off you. Everyone's kind of built the island up, got their 3 offerings out to get their maximum strength before going into the cave, because of the tiger, the giant and the thieves are in there, which are varying degrees of strength and varying punishments. However, the last game I played that I won, I turned the shrine over the second tile I got into the cave, so it was a really quick win. So it's worth going in the cave early, and certainly that's what I will be trying next time, to try and get that shrine quickly, especially if you're white, and then your explorer then goes to 4 attack strength, so they're rolling 4 dice every time they attack something, which puts them equal to 4. So as you can see, I really like this game, got a lot of praise for it. There's a few things that need changing in my opinion, like the artwork, but that is all kind of veneer level. The guts of the game work really well. There perhaps could be some room for some dice mitigation. Maybe when you lose a battle you could take some sort of token which lets you re-roll 1 dice, or maybe you could spend resources. That could be another way of spending resources. I feel that the trading rules, or lack of trading rules, it just says trade or give away whenever you want. It would be good if that was tightened up a little bit, because I think that creates situations where players can lose out because people don't want them to win, so they give each other resources to stop them winning. A bit of king making, I guess. But apart from that, like I say, it feels like very veneer stuff over a solid mechanical base that is going to be easy to teach to new gamers, but also have enough meat on the bones for those of us who've been playing for a while. So this has been a preview of Island of El Dorado, which is coming on Kickstarter. As soon as it's on Kickstarter, the link will be below. Thanks very much for watching Board Deck and Dice. We will see you next time.